Somebody is surely telling him what to do, but the real issue is that they don't know who. The brother asks what they could do in such a situation, and Cheol-jin suggests that they find this mystery person and do it fast. With that, they start spying on Chang. At 6 a.m., he goes to check the construction project and manages its safety. At 2 p.m., he has lunch with the project manager, and at 8 p.m., he has dinner with a casual acquaintance of his. Chung-suk flips at having not found any damning evidence that he is working with someone, and his men start suggesting different people. Maybe it was Judge Hwang, as there's talks of marriage going around. But the brother denies it, as Judge Hwang dislikes his brother quite a lot. Director Kang is also thrown around as an idea, but again, the idea is denied, as he is too simple of a man. Another suggests Sung Shin Construction, as he heard their son is close to Chang. Chung-suk explains that the CEO of that company is on good terms with him currently, so it's not possible for him to do something like that. Suddenly, one of his men finds out that there's something strange about his cash flow, as there's tons of money going to Cheonil High School, be it scholarships, gyms, or even swimming pools. Chung-suk tells them to not worry about that, as Chang has always thrown around cash at useless things. One time, he got into real trouble with their father after paying a bar girl's debt. They all scoff at the idea of this school being something worth it, but Cheol-jin starts analyzing deeper into it, as it may prove to be a useful lead. Suddenly, a hidden number calls Chung-suk, and he ignores it, as he already has enough on his plate. But then he receives a text from that caller. The message notes that he is Chang's backer, and would like to talk with him in private, if that is possible. Earlier, Chang called Kim, and told him that somebody is probably tailing him, as some bastard has been following him with a camera for a whole week now, and nothing has happened just yet. But he will be extra careful from now on. He could also be in danger, as Chung-suk might try to find out about him. Kim asks if he's afraid his brother might make him a better deal, but that won't happen. He trusts him, right? So he should get him a phone with a fake ID, and he will resolve everything. Now Chung-suk stands with Cheol-jin, and asks what they should do once they find the backer. Cheol-jin suggested two things. Since he turned Chang from an underdog to a managing director, he must be quite skilled, so they could recruit him to their side and deal with a great blow to Chang. However, if he doesn't join them, they will simply have to get rid of him. With a tampered voice, Kim asks Chung-suk, why has he been looking for him all this time? He thinks that it's better to be straight with this guy and offers to recruit him. Chang barely managed to graduate high school, and he's got a diploma from a prestigious university. Chang lived his life in the bar, while he gained tons of experience from his calculations and work. So, judging by this, who is more suitable to become chairman? Their father will eventually appoint someone who will grow the company anyway. Kim asks how he's so sure about that, and Chung-suk says that it's quite simple, because that's how the company progressed so far. Their father could even give the whole company to a management specialist, if it meant that they would advance. So, Chang becoming chairman is a pipe dream. He knows that too, right? That's why he called in the first place. Kim notes that if this is the case, he has a single condition. When Chung-suk returns from his talk, he tells everyone that Chang's backer contacted him, as he probably thinks that he's more suited to become chairman. He didn't ask for much either. He only wanted a position as an internal director. Cheol-jin urges him to reconsider, as that position is important, and he doesn't even know the guy yet. But Chung-suk slams the table and tells him to shut up already. He doesn't have a damn right to say that, as he just watched Chang advance and didn't do jack shit. He's finally bringing someone competent on board, so he should consider his words from now on. Cheol-jin remains calm and notes that it's not as simple. He couldn't do anything because Chang is the eldest son, so there was no backlash to him becoming the director. But the position he offered his backer is something they give to people that have at least 20 years of experience with the company. Now, he's not suggesting that hey, keep him for that long, but they should at least test him. Chung-suk tells him to stop talking, as tradition is too damn annoying to deal sometimes, and he will change it once he becomes chairman. All they need to do is think of one thing. When he's chairman, he promises everyone here compensation. That should be plenty, right? With that, he abruptly ends the meeting, as he is tired. But Cheol-jin is quite shocked by what just happened. However, he knows that Chung-suk is bad too, a self-absorbed, abusive, and infidel person. He knows full well that he's not a good person, but he wouldn't go near him ever if he wasn't the president's son. Even after all of this, he still supported him, because he's the lesser evil, as compared to Chang, who is uninterested in the company. He felt that Chung-suk would at least put in more effort. However, when tradition is disregarded, cracks will surely appear, and in the end, Chung-suk will be the one to destroy this company. Even if this hurts him, he needs to talk with the chairman right now, for the sake of the company and for the people who dedicated their entire lives to it. Suddenly he gets a call from an unknown number, and when he answers, the person immediately asks if he agrees with Chung-suk's decision, as it may seem too harsh. Cheol-jin asks who he is, and if this is some type of mockery, but the person over the phone assures that he isn't, as he wasn't interested in being part of the board of directors in the first place. He only wanted to let him know that Chung-suk and Chang are much different than he thinks. Cheol-jin doesn't want to believe that, but Kim, who was over the phone, notes that Myungjin Construction is a company that was built upon tradition, and in some companies, the director position is one that anyone can take. However, anyone who understands the chairman's will and the future that Myungjin Construction is aiming for shouldn't have promised that position that lightly. In fact, he is very proud of being the internal director, right? Cheol-jin asks him to get to the point already, and Kim obliges. He should assist Chang instead, as he's not the same bastard that he used to be. Also, he shouldn't think of this as betrayal. He's just letting him know about how much he would like to work with him in a Myungjin Construction that has a future ahead of it. A few days later, Cheol-jin meets with Chang and asks him directly who his backer is really. Chung says that he cannot tell him about that, so he should understand. Cheol-jin asks him if he remembers how he used to come to the field ever since he was young. Chang doesn't seem to remember it, and Cheol-jin explains that it wasn't on a big project then as it is now, because they were just starting out. He must have been around 3 to 4 years old, and always used his little chubby hands to carry bricks and help them in the construction. His heart would always pound out of his chest at the thought of him hurting himself. Even if he wasn't his son, just seeing him grow up strong and healthy under his father made him feel good. So he always had high hopes for him, he can't lie. However, as he grew up, he couldn't help but be disappointed, as he always went to school in place of the chairman, because he was always beating someone up. Myungjin continued to grow rapidly, but he was always drinking, partying, and getting into trouble. That is why he began believing that he is not the right person for the chairman position, and if a family member was going to inherit everything anyway, he thought that it would be better for it to be Chung-suk, since he was always struggling to be noticed. But he may wonder, why is he thinking all of this when he's only a mere director? Because he has given his everything to Myungjin Construction, just like his father has, because he can't let it fall in the hands of a pathetic man who can't even look after himself properly. However, he noticed that he has changed himself lately, and it doesn't even matter who helped him. As long as he produces results for the company, that is all that matters. He is not going to dig further into it anymore, so he will say this now, that Myungjin Construction needs people like him, and he looks forward to working with him from now on. At a small restaurant, which stands sandwiched between a convenience store and a food cafe, Kim's grandma works hard to feed everyone, with even the few customers she has saying that she shouldn't push herself too hard. She thinks that this is only natural, however, she must work hard in order to save money for her grandkid tuition. Suddenly, someone calls her cell, and when she answers, someone from real estate notes that if she's the one who won the lottery contract for the Noblesse apartments, she should just sell the pre-sale rights to him, and he will promise to pay at least $5,000 as premium for it. Later, while Kim is having dinner, he talks with his grandma and asks why she is still working at the restaurant, as she doesn't need to, since he gives her some, and she also has her pension to rely on. The grandma still feels the need to work, as that money is from the scholarship he gets from being a good student. She also wonders how the real estate agents found out about their winnings, as they will not stop calling her, as she's receiving dozens of calls every single day. Kim asks her to explain in greater detail, and she says that they were basically talking nonsense all of the time. One of them offered $5,000, while another offered $6,000. Kim thinks that after the last concrete casting incident, Myungjin's brand value skyrocketed. Additionally, Noblesse is a top-notch apartment in a prime location in Daesan. Just leasing it would be enough to get the sale price back. These real estate agents are underpaying, however, only $6,000 for a property so ripe. The grandma wonders if it's a scam, and if to sell it if it isn't. Kim notes that they aren't making those calls for her sake, so she shouldn't sell it, no matter what. The grandma explains that the down payment alone is 200 million won. How can she get such a large sum? Thanks to him and his help, they were able to get the pre-sale right to the home, but 200 million is just too much. Kim thinks that he has the down payment in a bank account that Chang gave to him, but he can't tell her that now, right? This apartment is a home for the three of them, a permanent one, so he will not give it up, no matter the cost. He puts his hand on hers and says that she can pay back easier these days, and they can also rent it out. She shouldn't worry, as he will figure this out. She touches his face and is glad to have such a dependable grandson. Suddenly he gets a call and excuses himself, as he needs to answer it. When he does so, the person over the phone speaks on behalf of the academy and explains that his brother, Hyun, did not attend class today. It seems that Hyun spent all of his time at the library and is now going back, as he wants to get back according to the academy's timing. He looks at a group of kids, not much smaller than him, who are having fun by playing a simple game of rock, paper, scissors. He envies them somewhat, as they can still have fun without thinking of other things just yet. Hyun removes himself from these thoughts, as he needs to prove himself, prove that he can succeed, without going to a private academy. While he is deep in thought, he suddenly bumps into somebody, that somebody being Kim, his brother. They sit on a bench, and Kim explains that he was at his academy, and they told him that he suddenly quit. Hyun apologizes for not telling him earlier, but he's old enough to figure everything out, as his hands and face tell him everything he needs to know. How can he attend the academy, when he and their grandma must earn money with such difficulty? If only one of them can get the chance to learn, that should be him, so they should just switch roles. He works, while he achieves an accomplished academic life, since he has better grades anyway. Kim is shocked by his words, and thinks that after 5 years past of him being a vegetable, Hyun vowed to become a police officer and get his revenge on the dirtbags who dared to do that to him. However, Hyun had to pay for his and their grandma's hospital bills, and even if he spent all of his time studying, he could not pass the exam. In the end, his family was the only thing that held him back. He struggled, for the sake of family, but ended up falling in the same spot as them. He vowed that he will not let that happen, ever again. To ease his worries, Kim shows him the message he got about winning an apartment lot in the Yunggang area, one of the richest neighborhoods in Daesan. Hyun is surprised, but that's when Chung arrives in his car, and when he gets out, he notes that he would have never thought he would be in a library. He presents himself to Hyun as the eldest son of Myungjin Construction and his brother's greatest ally. If he doesn't believe it, he can look it up online. He sits down between them and explains that since he is helping his brother out with a scholarship, he should also pay for his tuition. It's the least he can do, after all. Hyun announces that he's going back to his teacher for a minute, and while he does that, Kim thanks Chung for showing up at such a late hour, but he notes that it wasn't such a big deal. He must take care of his greatest friend, right? Chung also hands him the information he requested on the three people, and also announces that Cheoljin is fully on their side now. So what should they do going forward? Kim explains that they talked previously about a certain piece of land, Jungwoo Real Estate in the Sangye area to be exact. First on their agenda is to get close to the real estate agent around there, and then he should call him the second new property comes up for sale. A few days later, at school, the blue-haired liar tells everyone that Kim got a perfect score on the 11th mock exam, which is apparently the first in the whole country. When Kim finally arrives at school, everyone looks at him, and some even interview him about the grades he has, and about how many private academies he attends. Behind all of that crowd, even the principal, Daihwan, congratulates him, making Kim think that this was probably his doing, so he needs to match up the energy. He gets in front of the interview mic and thanks his teachers, who are all outstanding. He was able to achieve an academic level he could only dream of. While he confirms that he didn't attend any academies, he thinks that the Golden Circle's client must be watching now, and surely he is brimming with rage that he cannot do anything with. The Golden Circle broker pulls Taejun in a dark alley and asks him to explain, once again, the results he got. Taejun does so, saying that Kim and Song-ho are now enemies once again, and he succeeded in pushing Kim into a corner, as they don't even look at each other these days. It's only been a month, so he needs more time to deal with all of the variables. The broker knows full well, but this is not a clear outcome, and he gets calls every single day about it, because it's so vague. He warns Taejun, this is his very last chance. All he needs to do is please the client before the holidays, no matter what. A little while later, Taejun meets with Kim, who notes that he is late. Taejun apologizes, as he feared the broker he just met started following him. Taejun then tells him everything that he might like to know, and then Kim says that once he found out he was a target of the Golden Circle, it gave him a lot to think about. Why are they going so far? Or, what did he do to deserve this? But most importantly, the thing that bothered him most is that he didn't know who hired them. However, there are a few people that might be the client. First is Jin Young. Her family is rich, and she was doing well academically, so he must have annoyed her with his performance. Second is Lee. They got into a fight at the start of the semester, and they haven't spoken a word since, but he's a bastard with a god complex and a loaded father. Lastly would be Choi Seona, whose father is a high-ranking government official, and she was ahead at the start of this semester, but he beat her at the next exam. He used him as bait for these three, and after listening to what he said today, he narrowed it down to one person. So he should prepare himself for tomorrow, as he will finally be separated from the Golden Circle forever. The next day, Chul oversees the boys who are playing soccer, and that includes Kim, who easily scores, and then leaves. Seona talks with another person, and thinks that he's quite cool, but the other girl, Hyeji, warns her to steer clear of him, as he has become sort of a bad boy. Seona still wishes to go to him, and hands him a drink, which he expected. He suddenly invites her someplace else, as he has to talk with her about something very important. 15 minutes after the break, Hyeji wonders if Seona is okay, as she hasn't come back. But that's when she gets a plea for help from her, as she's trapped in the storeroom. 15 minutes before this, Seona was kind of scared to follow Kim in such a dark place, but she thought that it was fine, as he is one of the good guys. He orders her to close the door, and asks if she knows about the kind of trouble he has had lately. She says that she knows, as people have been picking fights with him left and right. He notes that she's correct, but most people don't know that someone ordered all of them to do it. There is a clear mastermind behind all of this, so he set a trap, and he had Jae-jin, the blue snake, leak some information to the people he suspected. He told one of the people that Kim had a hard time, and he's preparing to transfer, but she didn't show any sign of happiness, so it couldn't have been that person. To the next person, he said that Kim and Seong-ho are on really good terms, which would have infuriated the mastermind, but he didn't react. Seona slowly backs away, and Kim tells her that to her, he had him say that Kim is having a hard time, but he's still going, which would have made the mastermind angry. However, the real truth is that the spy he planted saw one of the students react harshly. So what does she think about something like this? Suddenly, Hyeji arrives and asks if she's okay and where Kim is. He was standing behind the door all of this time and tells Seona to leave, as she has done her job. She does so, and Kim immediately slams the door shut, while saying that she must stay here. One would think that Seona was the client, but there is a reason why she couldn't be. Hyeji is starting to get scared and wonders what's going on. Kim asked Chang to background check the three suspects so he could find the right answer, and thanks to that, he found out a truth about Seona that nobody else knew. He asked Hyeji personally, does she know why Seona transferred from Seoul to Daesan? Her brother was bullied at school and ended up doing something terrible to himself. So her parents came here for her sake. But would such a family do something so drastic for her grades? The answer is no, as he should know that, better than anyone. Additionally, Seona said something quite interesting, that whatever the intention behind the way he was bullied, she despised the person who held that intention. Because she couldn't do it to her brother, she is cheering him on because he is brave. That leaves a single possibility. Seona heard what Yejin said and shared it with a single person. He hugs her tightly and notes that it was her, the little bitch that tried to ruin his life. Hyeji denies it completely and tries to run away, but the door is locked, which leaves her to beg. They have always been good friends, so why would she ever do something so hurtful to someone like him? Seona is the one who hired them, as she complained about his grades multiple times, so he should stop and reconsider everything. Kim tells her that Seona's parents resigned from their positions long ago and are not active members of the anti-school violence committee. Is she really saying that those poor people could concoct something so vile? She says that if you ever know a person, and he knows that her father was a high-ranking police officer, The golden circle is connected to people like him. It seems that she has done something stupid, as Kim hasn't mentioned the golden circle a single time in this conversation. Hyeji tries to hide it for a little while, but gives up, and her face contorts into her true form. Who says that all of this was his fault in the first place? If he wasn't such a cold-hearted idiot, nothing would have happened. A few months ago, Hyeji immediately had him in his sights, as he was tall and attractive, had a good personality, and was even good at sports. In her head, the perfect guy. The problem was that she was not the only one who felt that way, as she has heard countless stories of girls getting rejected after confessing their feelings to him. So, even if she was considered popular, she was afraid of rejection. So she decided to test the waters with him for a bit. She asked him to help with some homework, and she touched him on purpose, although she played it out like it was an accident. Kim just smiled at her, which made Hyeji feel that Kim was basically giving her the green light. She couldn't ask him directly, so she made one of the guys ask him what types of girls he's into. Kim confirmed that if it would be someone, it would be someone like Hyeji, who is hardworking and has a cheerful personality. In her head, it was all but confirmed, and after that, she made plans with him, prepared a gift, and even a letter. The day when she went to meet with him, however, for the first time in her pompous life, she experienced a bad ending. She was born into a wealthy family, and never once was deprived of something. She was a special existence in the world. One small rejection brought her great amounts of anguish, and that's when she became hostile. Kim can't help but laugh at her explanation, but Hyeji goes into an emotional frenzy. She screams at him, noting that he was the one dropping hints, and her life was hell after that, as he kept getting more popular and getting more grades, while she felt left out and saddened by everything. She never wanted this to spiral out of control. All she wanted was for him to experience the same pain that she did. So she begs for forgiveness, as she never intended for all of this. Kim laughed, but in the face of someone like her, whose intention was that of pure evil, Kim called himself emotionally and felt nothing. Kim notes that he didn't reject her because he didn't like her, but he couldn't afford to date her. She kept buying him gifts and such, and he couldn't handle that. So he rejected her out of worry, as he didn't want to feel like a burden. Hyeji grabs his hand and notes that he should have told her much earlier, so they should just go back to how they were and live their lives peacefully from now on. Kim notes that it's far too late for something like that and grabs her hair tightly. He will completely annihilate her and her family, everything she ever stood for. He starts slapping the shit out of her and thinks that she will never understand why he's doing all of this. Because of her, he was turned into a vegetable, and his family was destroyed. However, that's only because he's fighting with everything he has to prevent that. How dare she call herself human after putting someone else through something like this? And just watch. Whatever happens, people like her do not change. After he's done with her, he tells her to find a good plastic surgeon, but from now on, she won't have enough money to spend on the golden circle. Chul comes in and finds it extremely worrying that Kim has started hitting women too. That's when Kim explains that she was the one who hired the golden circle. Chul looks at the situation in a different light now, as even if he beat her way too much, she must pay for her actions, so he will handle this. However, he warns Kim as her parents are not people who will just let it slide. Her father has influence in Daesan, so it will be very hard to come up with something. Kim smiles and says that he doesn't need to do anything, just send her home. He does just that, and when her father sees his beautiful daughter so hurt, he freaks out and proclaims that he will have every single bastard involved with this in jail, even if he has to sell his soul for it. The father calls the broker Jung, thinking that he will have his head for this. But that number is currently busy, as Kim has called him, and reveals his identity in an instant. After Kim is done with Jung gets called by Hyeji's father, who asks how he is going to deal with this, as his precious child was brutally beaten. He said from the very start that he guaranteed success, and failure was not an option, as throughout their history, the Golden Circle has not failed. He will tell other people about this. Does he think he will be able to handle the consequences when other Golden Circle members find out? Jung says that he doesn't care anymore, as they are, unfortunately, done here. Like he said, the Golden Circle has not failed even once, but now that he has walked through this precedent, he's basically screwed. However, he has to live too, since he's human too. so he handed everything about their dealings to Kim. He probably thought that such documents were not gathered. But the world is not all that simple, right? He needed insurance, in case anything happened, and unfortunately for him, something did. The father is even more enraged, but slightly scared too, as he threatens Young with a double takedown. If he goes down too, as he will report absolutely everything to the Golden Circle. Young tells him that he can't since he already has stuff figured out, so he should wake up, as from now on, everything that happens is on him, and only him. With that, he hangs up, and suddenly, a visitor calls from outside of their once calm home. Young lights up another smoke, and thinks of what happened when Kim called him. He told him his exact job and name, and also that he just sent Hyeji home. Young was rightfully surprised, and Kim continued, noting that he failed at doing his job, but he still pushed, and pushed. However, if his client's identity is revealed, he will be doomed. Young thought about it, and asked if Taejun betrayed him, as that is the only place he could get the information from. Kim congratulated him for his quick thinking, but now, knowing this, means that he's become a threat to the Golden Circle and its prosperity. There's only one thing that they must do now, to make him go away forever, and they will make sure that he never speaks of it, ever again. Young asked what he wants from him, and Kim put it simply. If he truly wants to live, if he has not given up on life just yet, he should report back to his boss and say that the job was completed with flying colors, with the client being extremely happy about all of it. Then send Taejun back to Seoul and that will be that. Jong said that if he does something of this nature, the client will not be happy about it, but Kim told him to leave the client behind, as he has to worry for himself more, rather than other people, right? Naturally, the mystery visitor in front of Hyeji's home was Kim, who demands that her father sit down. The father is not having any of it, but Kim calmly tells him to stop speaking nonsense and sit down now. He is here to give him two choices. The first would be to get revenge on him, on everything he has done. He will report this case to the authorities and ask the Golden Circle to fix the issue swiftly. But if that were to occur, he will release the proof he received from Young to the entire world. Naturally, that wouldn't make the Golden Circle just disappear, but it will certainly make Young go away. However, not everything will go well, as he will get prison time, and his precious daughter will be in juvie for a while. The very funny detail here is that he will be in jail for at least a few years, while his daughter will be in juvie for a few months, at best. What does he think will happen then, without her mighty father? Will she really be safe from him? The father shouts as loud as he can. Is he really threatening him right now? Does he think he will get away with such petty warnings? Kim calmly tells him that saying these things will get him nowhere, because he has Chang behind him, and he will order him to break Hyeji's legs and gouge out her eyes. If he doesn't think that he can do such a thing, he should look at his daughter right now. Hyeji starts screaming, and eventually just faints from fear. Kim notes that they should all calm down, as there is a second choice for him. He drops a knife to the floor and orders him to cut Hyeji's Achilles heel. With his own two hands, he will maim his own daughter, so as to not let that demon out into the world ever again. With that he leaves, and Hyeji's mother tells the father to call the police. But he only looks at the knife, as he cannot do anything now. Slowly he reaches for the knife, while saying that this bastard has them fully caught. If one thing goes wrong, and he goes to jail, Chang, and Myeongjin Construction, how can he handle those two? This family, this house, this business, who will take care of them? Without him, they cannot protect their dear daughter. He fully picks up the knife, and tells his wife that this is why they shouldn't spoil the kids too much. She tries to get him to come to his senses, but he gets up, and before Hyeji can make her escape, he lunges in, out of desperation, and out of utter fear. Kim meets with Young at a cafe, who notes that, even if Hyeji's father chooses the second, more brutal option, he's not done with them, isn't he? Kim says that he's correct in that assumption, as he will slowly drive him off to the edge, where he can jump off. One by one, little by little, he will expose the illegal actions that he has committed in this business, and then, when that man reaches his limit, he will release the material to the public. Sounds quite fun, right? If he also cuts his daughter's Achilles heel, he is going to report him to the authorities for domestic violence. Then, Hyeji will be crippled for life, penniless, and finally alone, without anybody. Jung asks what he's really planning, as indeed he bought himself some time, but the Golden Circle will certainly find out about this. Kim says that he's correct once again, so that is precisely why he is thinking of offering him a deal. A Trojan horse of sorts, if he had to describe it. He did not give him all of the material because he was dumb. He was betting on him to survive, as he knew full well, in fact, that he's an expendable asset to the Golden Circle. If they are being real here, why would he be loyal to them? Money talks in this world, so how about he makes that money through him? Jung laughs, and asks if he thinks that having Myungjin Construction behind him will be enough to convince him. No matter how pushed he is not a fool, and will not be an internal spy, as that will mean that his life would be at risk constantly. He admits, however, that just like he said, he joined the Golden Circle because he wanted to get on the top. He wanted money, power, and fame, and he gave him his leash, only because he has become afraid of the Golden Circle, even more than he already was anyway. Even so, he wants to create a Trojan horse? And what will he give him in return? Myungjin Construction and his trust? It doesn't work that way. Suddenly Kim says one word, Celestials, which shocks Jong. Kim explains that, for the next 2 years at least, he will be in charge of the members in the top tier. The Golden Line is an outcome of any vertical society, and naturally, there were classes within. The top tier of politicians, chaebols, and businessmen. In the Golden Circle, there is also something similar, but they are called the top tier. Members of this tier had their own top-level brokers, and the higher the rank, the better the rewards the broker receives. Above all, though, a top-tierer's broker was accepted as a member of the top tier once. Jung thinks that the top tier's existence is not something that is known to many, so how does this guy even know about it? But what if he could make it possible, though? Naturally, if the Golden Circle finds out about any of this, he will pay the steep price. But if it's after 2 years, then he would be able to leave Korea without a single regret. Besides, if this kid really manages to take the Golden Circle down, it will kill 2 birds with 1 stone. What an ideal scenario for him that is. He asks how he will make him a member of the top tier, and all Kim wants him to do is keep quiet about this for 1 month, and at the end of that month, he will get what he wants. With that, their conversation is over, and Kim rides the bus somewhere. While he does that, he thinks of everything: the Golden Circle, the Golden Line, and the top tier. Jung must have wondered how he knew of these things, but that's something that everyone would find out years later, as he knows from listening to the news about the case, when the Golden Circle was finally in the limelight. But even with that, the case was closed, without revealing a single top-tier member. For Kim, it's not enough to take down the Golden Circle, as the wealth and power that made it in the first place will not falter so easily. It is now time for him to take the next step in his plan. When Kim goes inside of a certain building, he meets with the senator of the Prosperity Party, Kim Panho, who wonders why he sent this note. He really shouldn't be playing these types of pranks, as someone might get hurt. Kim thinks that he talks like a true politician, and while he sits down, he explains that he understands how absurd it sounds. But even so, he hopes that he will at least hear him out first, and then judge for himself, as after all, he is here to make a deal with him. During his days as a professor, he formed tons of connections in return for looking after the children of the people in power. Due to riding on those people's backs and funds, he was promoted to the senator position. But just as something as commonplace in his world was fading from everyone's memory, things blew up as Senator Jang Ho-il of the opposing political party exposed his corruption to the public. Kim waited for this moment, when Panho would need him, as much as Kim needed him. Kim asks, why would Jang make those types of accusations? He certainly doesn't hold a grudge against him, and he wouldn't gain any political advantage by doing all of this. He thinks that someone asked him to do it. Someone like Senator Yang Minggu, the leader of the Prosperity Party, that he is a member of. Panho notes that his statement is quite dangerous, but Kim knows, however, this is definitely a ploy, set in place by Yang. He wanted to destroy a senator with rising influence fully, but attacking a member of the same party would have been troubling to deal with, in various cases. So, that's when he used Senator Jang as the puppet. Because a member of the opposing party targeting sounds reasonable, right? Additionally, he doesn't have any weaknesses to speak of, so any counterattack will not happen. Panho thinks that this child is quite insightful for his age, but if this is all he has, then this is just a waste of time. He asks, Even if he's right, what will his solution be in this case? Kim explains that there is no perfect solution here. It is true that children of powerful people have incredibly high grades. So regardless of the outcome, people are bound to gossip here and there. So there is only a single way to resolve this solution. If he cannot argue with the message, he should kill the messenger. Sooner rather than later, there's going to be a story about international students doing drugs, and among them, exactly one international student's identity will be hidden. Coincidentally, Senator Jang's own son is studying abroad. Panho just laughs, as he has no idea about any of this. But Kim continues, "This case is going to hit the news outlets soon, no matter what. So if he plays his cards just right, he can get away with this scandal, scot-free. This is not to say that taking down a mere puppet is enough to fully clear him of any suspicions, but he knows how it is with politics. It's hard to rebuild an allegation once it has been destroyed or averted. Solving it once is plenty, for it to not be an issue any longer, or any more for that matter." Kim gets up to leave and notes that he has other plans to help him. But once he feels worthy of his trust, he should get back to him, as he will wait for him for exactly 1 week. A few days later, news about Yang's son being a drug abuser spreads out, and Panho calls Kim back in, asking how a mere high school student like him knew about this so perfectly. Kim says that it's because he has Chang, and that man has quite the list of important friends. Panho researched Kim and found out a lot of stuff, including that he basically rules the school he is in. He didn't contact him without a plan. He reached out knowing the truth. Panho says that he's got quite a pair on him, but they should hear what he has planned first, right? Kim notes that, before that, he would like to ask him a simple question. Is he perhaps planning to get on the presidential election? Even if he's not certain about it, it would seem so, given how ambitious he is. However, he will not be given a simple chance, as he does not have a compelling story at all. He was born in an elite family, followed an elite course, became a professor after graduation, and even got the badge as a member of the parliament. He had the life of the top 0.01% in South Korea. He will fail the presidency race because of this, as he has failed for these reasons in his past life too. Panho asks if he is asking him to give up, but Kim denies this, as he is not the type to fold easily, so he will help him. He will become his kingmaker. At school, everyone talks about Hyeji, about how she dropped out, and that she was incredibly injured, to the point where she couldn't walk at all. Kim smiles, as that dumbass of a father went and cut his daughter's Achilles heel. How funny, as he had countless ways of protecting his daughter. However, he understands this, as it's hard to think rationally when one is overwhelmed by emotion. He experienced this in his past life, but for now, Hyeji is done, and all he needs to do is put someone to watch her. All there is left to do is make that presidency-obsessed bastard accept his offer. While he was at his office, Kim explained that Myungjin Construction will handle the funding. And as he is aware, money laundering is extremely easy for the construction industry. Another thing they will do is craft a story for him, the perfect narrative for a touching presidential campaign. A story that will make people look up to him, as he will be the first politician who crushes the Golden Circle. Kim explained what the Golden Circle is, and then said that once that group becomes a social issue, he can quickly get on his feet and solve the issue, which will allow him to become a star overnight. This is all he needs to do, as he will set the food on the table, and in case something gets spilled, he will clean up. Panho understood what he had to do, and Kim noted that he will give him ample time. In the meantime, he should investigate further about the man that the second son of Myungjin Construction is desperately searching for, Chang's real backer. Kim leaves school and thinks that if Panko refuses, he will have to resort to Plan B, get rid of Panho, and find a new horse to ride. This plan is risky, as the Golden Circle might intervene, and Panho might join them, but he can only hope that something like that does not happen. Suddenly, a huge man tells him to get in a parked car while he's being nice. Kim obliges, and he is sent straight to Panho, who was surprised that he was Chang's backer, and he admits he's quite impressive. But does he have what it takes to take down the Golden Circle? He also doesn't understand, as he hasn't been a victim of the Golden Circle, so why is he so hell-bent on destroying it? Kim's face dims and asks, has he ever experienced the feeling of helplessness in the face of utter malice? A powerful person like him is able to fight back quite easily, but the Golden Circle doesn't target those kinds of people in the first place. They target the poor, the weak, and those who cannot fight back no matter what. They cannot give up on education, as if they do, their life will be over, and they can't hope that the adults will help. Because as long as the golden circle is involved, adults are quite weary, knowing that one would be beaten up just for going to school, and that the bullying will continue, even after school is over, being unable to do anything, and just suffering constantly. There is only one word to describe this feeling: hell. He is going to break this cycle of school violence, as even though violence will forever be an eternal problem of the human race, he wants to destroy the golden circle that profits off these acts, no matter what. Pano can see the determination this child has, so he asks him to tell him the plan, as he will listen diligently. Kim explains that the golden circle was able to maintain their powerful relationships because of their extreme secrecy and no fail to record history. That is why he will win a broker to his side and have him write a fake report to make it seem that the commission regarding him was a success. Then, the golden circle will end up with a case of manipulating their results and deceiving the client. After that, when he's in his senior year, when it's time to take the SATs, he will transfer to Seoul in order to maintain his #1 spot in the entire country. In the very grade-conscious Gangnam, what if he, the #1 student in the entire country, were to just join? And what if the truth about the golden circle's failure spreads out? The space within a school can receive limited outside intervention, so he can withstand some pressure. All he needs from him is support, and to not get him expelled in the process, as the golden circle will certainly attempt to do so. Panho thinks about this, and comes to the conclusion that they are both of the same kind. He explains that he wanted to become president solely because he just wanted to. Others with less fortunate positions can do it. So why can't he? He has never failed in his life, not a single time. So why not become the best in the entire country? He accepts, but warns him, if he fails even once, he will abandon him and destroy any evidence of them ever meeting. If he can handle these conditions, then he will gladly join him. After school is over, Seona stops Kim for a while, as she wants to talk with him about something important, and it will be quick. She explains that Hyeji dropped out of school after what happened that day, and everyone around here says that she was taken to the emergency room. But she knows, he did that to her, didn't he? Naturally, she will not tell anyone about it, as she hates people like Hyeji, sociopaths, who only care about their own feelings, and will do anything to achieve what they want. Her brother died because of monsters like her, after all. Kim asks her to get to the point, and that's when she gets closer, announcing that she wants to help too. Kim has no memory of Seona from his past life, but maybe that's why now she has shown her true self, her twisted side, the one she tried to hide for so long. Naturally, she would be useful, as her parents are high-ranking government officials and chairman of the Anti-School Violence Committee. That will certainly be useful. However, he is still skeptical of her abilities, so he notes that if she's really willing to do anything for the cause, then she should gouge out the eyes of the bastards who dared kill her brother with this very pen. She should know, though, that this is not easy. When he breaks his opponent's bones, he is fully prepared for his to be broken too, and same goes for someone's life. If he ruins it, he is prepared to have his ruined as well. Does she really have the willpower, the determination, to go through with this? With that, Kim walks away and tells her to not call him for crap like this ever again, as her weakness would only get in the way of his revenge. He thinks that in this path, where there's no room for an ordinary life afterwards, she has no place, so it is better to reject her now. It is the right thing to do, for her, and for anyone involved. Suddenly, Siwoo grabs him by the shoulder and asks if he's done, which prompts Kim to ask if he studied. Siwoo confirmed that he did, as he made a promise to him after all. Kim thinks that what he thought of Seona goes for Siwoo as well in a sense. Indeed, they are together in Daesan, but that is over once he goes to Seoul. He needs to go into that hell alone, but before that, he will make sure that Siwoo can manage without him just fine. Siwoo points at a man, and notes that unfortunately for him, he's being scouted again. But he's surprised, as he hasn't given up yet. When the other private academies gave up on him after 2 tries or so, the man presents himself as Ju Byum-seok, a director of the Miracle Intensive Academy. He promises that this is the last time he will bother him. So can he spare some time? Recently, lots of different academies tried to scout Kim out, because Daehwan's obsession with making the school more and more prestigious got the better of him, and he called all over to tell everyone about Kim and what a perfect student he is. However, this only attracted the attention of the academies in Daesan, so it kinda backfired. But still, these academies promised countless things to Kim, which he all refused. Siwoo tells him to not overdo his rejection this time, and leaves him with Ju. So Kim asks, why is he here again? He remembers that he rejected him pretty harshly last time. Ju hands him an envelope and explains that he would like to buy his reputation. Miracle is planning to expand beyond Daesan to Seoul, so if word got out that he was attending Miracle, they would be able to compete with the best academies in Seoul quite easily. However, he needn't attend the academy. They only need him to acknowledge the rumor that he is being generously taken care of at Miracle. Additionally, if he gets a perfect score on his SATs, they will give him 100 million won in cash. Kim smiles, as he finds it funny that he is worth this much, and excluding his dying need for revenge, his life isn't that bad. But that's exactly why he declines. Just because, that's why. The next day, a woman waits for him at the school gates, and introduces herself as Lee Miso, the admin of the Daiichi area Sky Mom Cafe. She drags him away at a cafe for a spell, and explains that Daiichi area's Sky Mom Cafe is a cafe where parents residing in the Daiichi area share academic information with each other, and this time, his story came up in their daily discussion. She will be forward from now. She has a little offer for him. Would he be willing to tutor the kids of all of their members, including hers? Naturally, that does not mean that she's hoping for dramatic improvements in the kids' studies, as Seoul has tons of teachers with verified qualifications that could do better than him. However, she would like him to pass on the knowledge he gained from studying in school. He would come once a week, 4 times a month, and they will pay 2 million won per person. Additionally, he can hold the classes in Daesan, and they will comply with any other conditions he may have, in limits, of course. Kim is unfamiliar with this kind of thing, and asks her for a few days to think about her most generous offer. Later that night, he browses the webpage they have, and finds only uninteresting chatter about useless rumors, which makes him think that there's a secret page for paid members only. Eventually, Kim finds it, and the talks they have been having, about him and about others, as they have reached grades that were previously thought impossible. In his past life, when the Golden Gate first blew up, the ones who made the biggest deal out of it were helicopter parents, people who were extremely sensitive and focused about their children's futures. Naturally, for them, this wasn't because this was unfair towards the bullied victims of the Golden Circle. It was fear. Fear that they lost out. So this behavioral force is worth harnessing into something better. Kim calls Miso and notes that they should do what they plan tomorrow as he accepts their offer. The next day, a bunch of rowdy and rather spoiled kids, including Miso's son Minwoo, arrive at the meeting spot that Kim suggested. They all start talking crap about Kim, that he doesn't have parents, that he is a peasant who cannot teach anyone anything, and other stuff like that. Classic spoiled activities. That's when Minwoo suggests that they skip class, but the girls refuse, as their mothers threaten them. If they skip class, they will take their stuff away, but he insists, as if they all skip, their parents will just switch tutors, and that Kim peasant can't stop them in the first place, so why bother staying? With that, they all agree, and decide to walk away, and have some fun with the time they have. While in his class, Kim talks with Young Chan-soo, who explains that thanks to him, he met with Lim Cheol-young, the CEO of Future Investment and Securities. Kim explains that Lim's oldest child will soon be entering high school next year, and he will definitely hire the Golden Circle, so this is his chance to enter the top tier. Once he's entrusted with that role, he will start giving him important insider information. He should keep in mind though, if he's even slightly off his role, they will find out, and at that point, he will not be able to help him. He will be on his own. After they close the call, Kim thinks that once Jung becomes a spy for him, he will naturally get to know the victims of the Golden Circle, and he can't save anyone. So it doesn't matter if he turns his back on them, for his own revenge. But, at the very least, he wants to be involved in the stories he has seen and heard before. He just wants to do that, since his memories are even cleared in his head now. Enough about this for now though, as it seems he has to discipline some rowdy children, since they are oh so late to class. The study group is now at a karaoke place, and are seemingly having fun, but eventually Kim finds them. But they don't know who he is, until he asks if Minwoo is here, which prompts him to get up. He demands to know who he is, but that's when Kim socks him straight in the face, and explains that he's their teacher, so he demands some proper respect from them and also some pleasant greetings from now on. Minwoo immediately starts screaming. Does he know who his parents are? One call and his entire life will be done. Everything he has built up for will be over. Kim suddenly tells him to call them and tell them the truth, right now. The truth about him cutting the first day of his tutoring and got beaten like a little puppy by his teacher. Wouldn't that be funny? Minwoo is surprised that such a man is the first-ranked student in the whole nation, but it does not matter, as once he calls his mom, this guy is totally fucked. When Miso picks up the phone, he tries to play the victim. He got tired from his trip to Daesan and decided to take the first day off with his friends, as they were all tired. The second those words come out of his mouth, Miso immediately gets on his case. Is he that dumb? She told him time and time again that this is the last time she would allow such a thing. He should have listened to their tutor, not run around again. Just when is he going to get his act together? When will he stop becoming a disappointment? Kim grabs his phone and puts it on speaker, noting that he made sure to ask them to be punctual. But yet, here they are, at a karaoke parlor. Miso apologizes deeply and asks for forgiveness, as even if their children are like this, they did not expect them to do such a thing. Kim asks if she still remembers the right to punish, and she confirms that she does. In the case that Minwoo or the others do anything wrong, the parents will not interfere with whatever punishment he decides, regardless of what it is. Kim then asks the children to make a choice, but it should be quite simple. Do they want the tutoring or the beating? They naturally choose the tutoring, but they are still mad at Kim as he made all of that fuss for only 1 hour of studying. Minwoo asks one of his friends, Shin Yumi, if she knows someone in Daesan, as he has to pay back this bastard for what he did. He just doesn't know who he messed with. He will have him beaten by the end of the week. Yumi notes that there is a person who calls himself Daesan's boss, but will his mother really be happy with him doing this? She sounded pretty mad earlier. He explains that this isn't the first time his dearest mother is doing something like this, but like they say, blood is thicker than water, so she will forgive him no matter what. She calls the so-called Daesan boss, and notes that she wants to meet, as it has been quite a while since they met. 2 days later, she meets with him, and surprisingly, it's Jinwoo. While on the way to their destination, Yumi explains stuff about their tutor, about his training regime and schedule so that they can catch him at an opportune time. Yumi asks, however, will he be okay? That guy sure has a mean punch if anything, but Jinwoo explains that he isn't called the Daesan boss for nothing. He will make short work of this guy. Eventually they arrive at the training gym, and Jinwoo busts the doors open, noting that there's a first year around here, and that he wants to spar with him. This makes the trainer analyze him, which prompts him to say that he's got a great build. Suddenly Siwoo appears, and asks what he's doing here, which prompts Jinwoo's heart to stop, as he thought he was the one that beat up Yumi's friend. But judging by her reaction, it doesn't appear to be so. However now, he realizes who this first year is, and Yumi points at Kim when he appears. He's the one who beat up her friend. Jinwoo immediately does a 180, and bolts out of there much to Yumi's surprise. She follows after him, and asks what's wrong with him, even pulling his hand to stop him. When he feels her touch, he immediately removes it, and screams at her. Kim is her damn tutor? He grabs her softly, and tells her to stop talking and listen. She will never contact him again, and she should focus on her tutoring. Unless she wants her life to be screwed over, she should do what Kim commands. That is the only way. Without much choice, Kim now has a full classroom, and teaches them with great patience, but notices that Minwoo has fallen asleep, so he tells them to focus. He knows full well that they must be tired from traveling to Daesan 3 times a week, but they know full well how their parents are. So what will happen if their grades don't go up after getting this expensive tutoring? He promises personally that it will be something much worse than this, and they shouldn't deny it, as they have been playing around all of their lives anyway. Now, it's time to face reality, and if they do well on the final, he will cut this class to once a week, while also telling their parents to drop him from all other tutoring. If they trust him and abide by his rules, he will make sure this college entrance exam gets them into a 4-year university, at least. So they should be patient, like the good puppies they are, and study with him. Half a month later, Kim meets with Miso, who is ecstatic as every single child he tutored has had their grades improve, and she also congratulates him for his perfect score on the final exam. Truly, She thanks him from the bottom of her heart. Additionally, she would like to extend the offer. She will pay him 10 million per person from now on, once a week, and they will give him a bonus too, to incentivize him. Kim doesn't mind the money at all, but if she keeps her promises, he will